A presentation before 7th Central Pay Commission by All India Guards Council. The Indian Railways, crisscrossing the subcontinent, play predominant role in contributing to the economy of the country by transporting freight and carrying passengers day in and day out through its vast network, big fleet of rolling stock, and dedicated workforce of 14 lakhs of employees. Railways, as a common carrier, apart from bearing social responsibility, have proved their worth at the times of national crisis like droughts, floods, and foreign threat. Guards, being the important personnel among all frontline staff, feel themselves proud to belong to this mighty organization, which is Asia's biggest state-owned enterprise. Out of about 64,000 kilometers of track on Indian Railways, only 5% is controlled by stations, and every train during its journey runs through a section of track not controlled by stations to the extent of 95%. And during this period, the guard is the lone responsible person for safe running of trains, security of passengers and goods under his charge.
The Ministry of Railways have aptly adopted Bolu the Guard as its mascot, indicating multi-skilled nature of duties and his contribution to safety. The cap stands for crown, indicating that he is the icon of Indian Railways. Uniform for dignity, sharp eyes for far-sightedness, big belly for enormous knowledge, small legs indicating that he has to maintain balance even in times of adversity, and last but not least, a rare honor conferred on the category of guards.
The general rules are framed by the Minister of Railways, Government of India, in exercise of the powers conferred by Section 198 of Railways Act 1989. Section 47 of Indian Railways Act 1891 for safe working of railways. Accident Manual, a compendium of rules to be observed during accidents and unusual occurrences, are also to be followed in conjunction with general rules. About 343 rules in 17 chapters of general rules, along with subsidiary rules and accident manual, stipulate the duties of guards apart from many commercial duties. Thus, the duties are not listed but are spread over general rules, subsidiary rules, accident manual, coaching tariff, red tariff, etc. Many unstipulated duties also have to be performed in the interest of administration and travelling public. The general rules which guide train operation to its perfection with the only aim of safety are statutory rules not violable by any order, and they emphasize the importance of the guard and his role. Every train shall be provided with one or more guards except under special circumstances or emergency. The very term railways connotes it is a transport organization. While there are many categories whose duties and job attributes are no way concerned to railway operation, there are certain few categories whose very identity lies with railways and who are directly connected with running of trains. But the irony is that the prime categories which are actually running the railways were allotted lesser pay scales, pay bands, grade pay than general categories who do not at all contribute for railways operation. The important personnel to run trains, as even a common man can percept, are guard, loco pilot, and station master, constituting frontline staff, and are called the big three in railways, but only in their importance and role in the organization, but not in allotment of pay scales. Even among the three, guard and loco pilot perform duties or running trains, or to be more correct, actually running trains, and are classified as running staff. Running staff are a very distinct category among all the categories on railways in view of their nature of job, hours of employment, and running life itself. The rules and procedures to run trains, as already narrated, are enshrined in general rules framed by Railway Board. As per GR 4.36, God is in charge of the train in all the matters affecting its movement. Now, we will make a fair comparison between the duties of running staff vis-a-vis other staff. Though we do not go deep into the principles of determining pay scales, we make a humble attempt to put forth the principle of natural justice. As a matter of general principle, pay should be in direct proportion to work done. Even the ticket fares are also fixed depending on the distance, class of train, comforts provided, and so on. Work done is assessed in terms of duration of time an employee is engaged. Here, we make a reasonable comparison of duty hours and rest of ministerial staff, stationary staff, and running staff. Ministerial staff work in general shift from 9 hours to 17 hours with lunch break, 6-day week, Sunday holiday, second Saturday, public holidays, at least 2 in a month. No night duties at all. Job stationary amongst co-employees. Place of work congenial even with AC. Total days in a month 30. Holidays, second Saturdays and Sundays 6. Working days 24. Working hours 24 into 8, 192 hours. Rest hours 528 hours. Now we'll come to stationary staff. Stationary staff classified as continuous perform duties in cyclic pattern. Night rest and weekly rest assured in cyclic link. Designated rest of 230 hours and 254 hours in a fortnight. Average working hours in a month 208. Rest in a month 512 hours. Now let us take a glance at the duty hours of running staff and their rest. Have no fixed roster, schedules of duty hours, but open-ended nature of duty. No weekly rest, only periodical rest, which is not designated and not distributed evenly. Night duties compulsory and even continuous night duties for 6 days inherent in the nature of job. Night duties also irregular. Night duties continue even after daybreak. No Sundays, no festivals, no holidays. Total duty hours of running staff comprises running duty and deemed duty. Running duty 256 hours, deemed duty 136 hours, total 392 hours, rest hours including 430 hours rest, 328 hours. Now let us compare the duty hours and rest of running staff and other staff. Ministerial staff work for 192 hours and avail rest of 528 hours. Stationary staff work for 208 hours and avail rest of 512 hours. Running staff work for 392 hours and avail rest of 328 hours. Thus, the running staff work 2.041 times and 1.884 times more than ministerial staff and stationary staff. Apart from the hours of duty, irregular night duties, deprivation of family life, and many other dissimilarities make the running category a distinct one, and the general principles of determining pay scales should not be made applicable in case of running staff. Thus, running staff deserve higher pay scales and grades than any other category. There are many differences that make the running duty most uncommon among many categories. For stationary staff, nature of duty is normal. For running staff, running duty is abnormal. Station staff work in specific spells of duty and have designated rest. But for running staff, duty and rest are uncertain. Stationary staff are attached to social and family life. But in case of running staff, even the children are also deprived of parental care, not to talk of social life. In case of stationary staff, some staff do not have night duties at all, and for others, Night duties are evenly distributed over a period. But in case of running staff, night duties are must, and running staff are required to perform 6 night duties continuously at a stage as warranted by administrative needs. For station staff, night duty ends when promoted to supervisory staff. But for running staff, it is continuous till he ceases to be in running service. For others, night duty terminates in the morning. But in case of running staff, night duty is continuous and indefinite even after daybreak. Periods of off-duty hours being spent at home amongst his household. Whereas in the case of running staff, most of the off-duty hours are spent at outstations in running rooms. For station staff, place of work is congenial, but for running staff, whether it is an engine cab or a brake van, it is uncongenial. Other staff avail rest at home with affectionate household. But in case of running staff, much of the time is spent in running rooms, often disturbed by entry and exit of staff. Entire rest between the spells of duty also spent at home by station staff, but the rest of running staff is distributed between headquarters and outstations. The place of work of station staff is fully protected from furies of weather, that is cold, heat and rain, in a well-built office room. But the place of work of running staff is exposed to the furies of nature and noise pollution and vibration. Naturally, the job of station staff is simple, whereas the job of running staff is risky and hazardous. There is less medical decategorization in case of station staff, whereas there is more medical decategorization in case of running staff. In case of station staff, no loss of life, limbs in performance of duty, but in case of running staff, incidences of loss of limbs and life is more in performance of duties and even in accidents. In station staff, there is less chance for reduction in span of life, but in case of running staff, premature senility and more chances for reduction in span of life. Station staff, because they got their duty within fixed spells, they can enjoy their family life and they got contented marital life. Whereas in case of running staff, duty and rest is uncertain, so they will have distorted marital life, affecting concentration and efficiency in duties. In case of station staff, less occupational health hazards, whereas there are more occupational health hazards in case of running staff. Station staff are attended and assisted by other staff while on duty and even in abnormalities. But in case of running staff, they are all alone even in abnormalities like accidents, fire and so on. For station staff, they need not suppress their urges and they are provided with toilets. But running staff, it is not like that. They have to suppress their natural urges during the course of journey for a longer periods more than 6 hours. It is actually against the nature. Thus, the hazardous nature of duty, life, rest, exposure to furies of nature make the category of guards uncommon among more than 150 categories in Indian Railways, deserving a better deal in form of distinct higher pay scales. Job profile, some issues, sidelights. For most of the staff, place of work and place of reporting are the same, but a guard, after reporting, that is signing on, has to walk a long distance, maybe a kilometer or more. There won't be any path and he has to walk all the distance on the ballast, iron scrap, wild bushes, even daring the threat of snakes in the yard. All the staff have their place of work congenial and even with AC. Even the wayside stations have well-built station buildings with good ventilation, lighting, water and toilets. Provide full protection from all adversities of nature. But the brake van is a moving iron box without proper doors and shutters, devoid of basic amenities and does not provide any protection from the furies of nature like severe summer and biting cold, not to talk of heavy wind and rain. In fact, a goods breakvan is a oven in summer and freezer box in winter. Even in extreme weather conditions of cold and hot, room temperature can be maintained by room heaters and air coolers in offices and wayside stations. But even in temperate conditions, the seasonal extremities are more severe in a breakvan than station or office. The miseries are manifold in a running breakvan at a high speed and during nights. A guard is a representative of railway administration, easily accessible to travelling public, and apart from ensuring safety and checking the intactness of emergency equipment, check the seals of SLR, deal with parcels, look after the amenities of passengers like water and electricity, etc. He has to render first aid to injured passengers, maintain ladies compartment and compartment meant for physically challenged. The guard has to attend many unspecified duties to satisfy the public and avoid public complaints. He should give correct information sought by the public and see that punctuality is also maintained.
When the train is detained in midsection due to accident, failure of train engine or any other reason, the guard has to secure the vehicles by applying handbrakes on breakvan and sufficient number of vehicles depending on the gradient to prevent rolling back. He has to protect the spot to indicate the driver of any train regarding the location of disabled train and to prevent further collision and aggravation of the situation. The guard has to walk back and place one detonator at a distance of 600 meters and 3 detonators 10 meters apart at a distance of 1200 meters from the affected train and stand at a distance of 45 meters exhibiting hand danger signal.
The misery is manifold during night and inclement weather like rain and fog. He has to convey the information to the nearest station master or section controller by most expeditious means through field telephone or any other mode giving the details and assistance required. Emergency, 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 emergency. Guard of BC and 10 at KM 199 2 and 4. Train derailed between 199 10 200/4 at 10:30. Train engine and 10 vehicles derailed. 3 vehicles capsized. No casualties. Adjacent line not fouled. No damage to OHA. Required only ARV. No MRV required. Over. Alarm chain pulling is a frequent occurrence in course of railway working. Maybe for a valid reason like passengers falling down or passengers run over or maybe by miscreants. But the role of guard at this juncture is very crucial, that he has to locate the coach where the ACP has taken place and ascertain the reason. He has to reset the disc to normal, which is a very difficult and risky physical exercise. After resetting the disc, he has to release the brakes and ensure the correct brake pipe pressure is recorded in breakvan before starting the train. He has to act very quickly to minimize the detention in view of punctuality and submit a detailed report regarding the occurrence. By virtue of the nature of job, running staff stay away from their homes, get detached with relatives. There are many occasions where running staff could not attend their near and dear when they were seriously ill, or they could not even have lost sight of their parents since they could not reach home in time. This kind of predicament does not exist for others.
Running man spends most of his best part of life only in running job, which is devoid of social family life and unable to attend even the occasions of obituary, not to talk of other family functions and emergencies. Certain important moments do not repeat in life, and a running man loses them forever. The woes are not confined to running staff alone, but even their household are also put to a lot of inconveniences, subject to untold sufferings and mental tension because of frequent absence of their husbands at home.
जब मेरे पति ड्यूटी पर गए, एक मैसेज आया कि ससुर की तबीयत बिल्कुल भी खराब हो गई और उनको अस्पताल में एडमिट किया गया। उन्हें सांस की समस्या थी और उनकी स्थिति बहुत गंभीर हो गई थी, इसलिए उन्हें आईसीयू में रखा गया। मैंने स्टेशन मास्टर को समाचार दिया, पर ये समाचार उनको नहीं पहुंचा, मेरे पति को नहीं पहुंचा। पता हुआ कि मेरे पति ड्यूटी में होने के कारण उनको समाचार नहीं दिया। अगर उनको समाचार मिलता तो वो परेशानी से अपनी ड्यूटी ठीक तरह से नहीं कर पाते। इनकी ड्यूटी पूरी होने के बाद उन्हें समाचार दिया गया, पर उन्हें वापस आने के लिए कोई गाड़ी नहीं थी, इसलिए ये प्राइवेट व्हीकल से घर आए। आते ही अस्पताल चले गए, लेकिन उनके आने से पहले ही मेरे ससुर की अंतिम सांस हो गई, अंतिम घड़ी आ गई थी। मेरे पति अपने पिता के आखिरी समय पे उनके पास भी नहीं रह पाए। ये ऐसी दुस्थिति किसी और को नहीं आए। ये तो बहुत दुख की बात है कि रनिंग कर्मचारी अपने माता पिता के बुढ़ापे में सही ढंग से उनकी देखभाल नहीं कर सकते।
We are newly married. Perhaps you can imagine that newly wedded couple have small desires to spend happy moments together by visiting new places, weekend programs, going to temples, seeing movies, etc. But we are deprived of such pleasures. He feels sorry that he cannot spend much time with me. By the time he arrives home, he feels much tired, and I don't even remind him of the program he has already proposed. I cannot compel him also to take me out for some entertainment, as again he has to go out for duty. I have to spend many lonely nights which no other bride has to experience. Even when he is available, I have to leave him undisturbed, because I know he must feel relaxed, stay comfortable, so that he can do his duty well. I am prepared to lose my sweet moments and even suppress my natural instincts, which actually matter more in marital life of a woman. The same is the case with him also, and I feel sorry for him. Perhaps a running man's wife has to compromise with many other things which no words can express.
I am very proud that my husband is doing a very important job in railways, and I feel that is my responsibility to see that our family problems do not affect his working. That's why I manage everything in-house, like maintaining accounts, getting provisions and bank transactions, looking after children's studies, taking care of aged parents, etc. I feel so sorry for him because he cannot spend much time with children and take them out for some recreations. So many times by the time he returns home, children will be sleeping, and by the time children came back from school, he goes out for his job. Children cannot see their father even a week. Often they compare with neighboring children, particularly during school functions, etc. He cannot attend many functions in our family and close relatives, including marriages and even other occasions of obituary. No Sundays, no holidays and no festivals.
No words can express the feelings of deprival of family life and marital life, and cannot be expressed also, being a very, very sensitive issue related to personal life of running man and running man's wife, which is another side of the coin unseen in darkness.